A senior member of the Howard government has described the Iraq war as a debacle. The retiring Liberal Senator Nick Minchin has used the parliamentary debate on Afghanistan to set out his concerns about the US decision to invade Iraq. Senator Minchin says it made the war in Afghanistan more difficult. His contribution to the debate comes as the Prime Minister accuses the opposition of lacking commitment to economic reform. From Canberra, Susan McDonald reports.
He was among friendly faces.
Hello, darling.
Hello. And even an old rival.
Oh, no, I'm just so pleased to be here, mate. I look forward to it.
John Howard has officially launched his memoirs and he likes being back in the spotlight.
It's a sort of a special moment in my post-political life.
Last night's shoe-tossing incident was laughed off by family.
No, I thought he ducked very much.
But as the former Prime Minister defended the Iraq war, one of his former ministers described it as a debacle. Senior Liberal Senator Nick Minchin has revealed his heart sank when John Howard informed Cabinet that the US had decided to invade Iraq. He went on to say Australia had to support its ally, but that he regretted the government wasn't more successful in persuading the Bush administration to remain focused on Afghanistan. A war Senator Minchin says is more protracted and more difficult since Iraq. The Senator's comments were tabled in the Parliament as part of his contribution to the Afghanistan debate.
I call the member for more.
Liberal Mal Washer has repeated his wish for Australia's troops to come home.
So let's get the heck out of there. Let's get sensible.
And Labor's Kelvin Thompson has called for a clear exit strategy.
That this war is unwinnable from both my own observation of the conflict over 9 years now, longer than the Second World War, and I don't want us to go down the failed roads of Vietnam and Iraq.
His colleague Anna Burke has reservations too.
Winning the hearts and minds of the Afghani public is critical, and I'm not convinced this will be achieved through military means.
Outside, a leisurely pace was more the Prime Minister's style. But on the economy, her approach is pedal to the floor.
Economic reform requires us to do more. It requires us to lift the speed limits on the economy.
Julia Gillard's accusation of economic Hansonism was met with this in the chamber.
When will the Prime Minister stop complaining and start governing by introducing policies that will fix this mess?
But she won't resile from the claim.
Now is not the time to lead the Liberal Party into economic Hansonism. Now is not the time to conclude that the way forward for the Liberal Party is to conduct itself as a demolition derby on the reform road.
Pressed for a please explain, she added another jibe at her opponents.
Economic Hansonism, in my view, is using simplistic slogans which sounds superficially good, but ultimately mean bad news for our economy, bad news for working Australians and their families.
An example, she says, is Joe Hockey's interest rates push.
It's a government with no gravitas. It was like being slapped around the head with a terry toweling hat. It was ridiculous.
The Prime Minister's shrill and aggressive speech last night was symptomatic of a government which has lost its way.
The Commonwealth Bank's chief executive has weighed into the discussion, saying he doubts rates will be re-regulated.
We have gained a lot over the last nearly 30 years of deregulation, and I would be surprised to see Australia go back to a more closed economy.
The political debate over interest rates is only set to amplify. The big banks are reporting their profits in coming days, and the Reserve Bank meets next week to decide whether to increase the official cash rate. Susan McDonald, Lateline.